Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smart ass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 34 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 34 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smart ass. And yes, the word ass is in the Bible, guys, at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this. There are a lot of people out there struggling. I'm a nutritional health coach. I'm a recovery coach. All my services to you are free. Please, please reach out. I want everyone to know someone is listening. If you think my book can help someone, because I sure do, you can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, BAM, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You could go to my website, www.geripetito.com. My book is now on audio, guys, and you can get it from there with my voice. Simon & Schuster wanted to put my book to audio with someone else's voice. I said, absolutely not. My producer, Ruben Rodriguez, part owner of Hamilton Radio and the owner of Iron Horse Films, is now doing audiobooks with your voice. So if any authors out there are interested, please reach out to me. If you truly, 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 truly cannot afford my book, please reach out to me about that as well. I'm here to help you. Before I introduce my really cool guest, let me give a shout out to a couple of my sponsors. First and foremost, Paula Ann from Ablaze Entertainment and Freedom Rings Festival, helping survivors of human trafficking to live a life of normalcy. And the Geri Petito Show is also a sponsor of hers, www.freedomringsfestival.com. And she's the one who introduced me to my guest. He's a returning guest. He's no stranger to the Geri Petito Show. Then I've got John Bishop, a.k.a. Johnny B., singer, songwriter, host of the Entertainment Luncheon South, a nonprofit network created for the creative. So, guys, he's also the partner in the Joey D. and Johnny B. Rock and Oldies Band, and he also does his own shows. But I have to give a shout-out to him and his wife, Lenny. They put this luncheon on once a month. It's down the shore here in New Jersey. It's by invite only. You get a great lunch, and you get incredible entertainment. Okay, and it's off the charts, and it's $20, and they don't keep a penny of it. Okay, I just can't say enough about the two of them because they promote all of us like nobody else does. So a big shout out and a thank you to both of them. Then I've got Stormin Norman Selden, 732-245-4777, www.storminnormanselden.com, booking dozens of attractions for concerts and performances on venues of all sizes. So this guy's got from a 5 to 12-piece band, and he's a beast on keyboard. And a lot of people don't know this, but he helped get Larry Chance from the Earls back in the day started. And, Norman's amazing because now he's even giving lessons, private lessons to seniors. He was here recently with his keyboards. He's coming back again at the end of the month with his keyboards. And his new partner in crime there, Ryan. So it's going to be an amazing show. And the last person I want to give a shout out to as one of my sponsors is Michael Zanman, singer, entertainer, performer, www.mzanman.com. So he's really amazing, incredible, and he'll have you cracking up laughing, jumping out of your seat while he's entertaining. So a couple months ago, he recorded Mel Carter's song, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, and put it out on Facebook. So what he didn't know was I sent it to my buddy Mel. Mel calls me and says, "Your boy did a great job with my song." I said, "Listen, can you tell him?" We got him on a surprise three-way, and Michael Zaman almost fell off the chair. Imagine Mel Carter telling you did his song great, okay? Priceless. So, having said all that, guys, I want to now introduce my really cool guest. Again, like I said, this is not his first time here. Justin Wright, say hello to everyone.
Hey Jay, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. So, Justin is country rock singer songwriter, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of those genres had a real effect on me at a younger age, and when I was really finding music, and it's just one of those things where I pulled influences from both of them, and have just really loved to perform.
So, let's give a shout out to Paula Ann. Come on.
Hey, Paul Ann, how's it going? Paul Ann, I will tell you, if we're giving Paul Ann a shout out right now, and Jerry, I don't have to tell you this. She's an amazing woman that has done amazing things for my career. Well, not just my career, but so many people's
people.
career at a Blaze Entertainment, and just one of those people that is just she's a great giver of her time and a philanthropist. As you talked about earlier, she's just I owe her a lot. So big shout out to Paul Ann.
We love you, Paula Ann. Thank you, sweetheart, again. So this is so cool. So let's go back a little bit, okay?
Sure.
I want to go back and then we'll come forward. All right. For a lot of people that may not have heard you, I'm sure there's not too many people out there that don't know of you right now. You're doing incredible, incredible things. So do you talk about your age?
I generally it's I don't really get asked that a whole lot.
Okay.
I don't mind because I think it's part of the story.
Right. Me too.
I think it's part of the story. I'm actually 44 years old.
Okay. You're my daughter's
and
age. You could call me
yeah,
mom.
okay.
Call me mom.
Okay. Okay. And I'm 44 years old. I think it's part of the really a part of the story because it's one
Yes.
of those situations where for many, many years, I was accumulating all these songs that I've written and I played and stuff like that. And I really didn't step out until I got older because, just to be quite honest with you, I didn't really, it may have been a self-confidence thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it may have been one of those situations where, might have been slightly outside of my comfort zone.
Sure.
But once, some people came to me and told me, they said, what you're doing is really amazing. And, for you to keep it to yourself is not, why would you keep this to yourself? It's amazing.
It's not
amazing
fair.
work.
It's not fair.
Well, I guess it's all revisionist history and everything like that because, and I guess there's a lesson to be learned here, is that, don't be afraid to jump.
Don't be
I
afraid.
think that,
Yes.
I could have done it. I could have done it at age 28, 27, 28 years old. But then again, of course, Jerry, we don't know what that path would have been. This may have been the best path for me.
I agree.
But it's really cool because I think you're the only person that's really brought up my age, and as well as in the music industry, a lot of times age is
Right.
can be
Taboo.
exclusive.
Taboo.
Yeah, it can be can be one of those things. But I'm proud of what I've been able to do in my time.
Good.
And like I said before, it's part of the story.
So the reason why I ask people's ages because to me it is part of the story. We're going to have a conversation. I'm going to ask you some things about your past. And if people don't know how old you are, that doesn't even resonate at times, right? So let's
There's
go.
no context.
That's
No
right.
context.
So let's go back in time a little bit. So growing up, who were some of your musical influences?
Well, I could tell you this. I was brought up as a child. My father and my mother had, of course they were big music fans and everything like that. And interestingly enough, they weren't musicians or anything like that. But they were very big into the classic rock, southern rock type stuff.
Oh.
We got into the, I was really into the Marshall Tucker Band, Leonard Skinner, and even going into some of your more traditional rock, like Boston and acts like that.
Yeah.
So at a young age, I really didn't listen to a whole lot of country, but we did listen to some. I mean, back in, the early 80s, Hank Williams Jr. was really big. I mean, it didn't matter, and he was kind of, and really when you get right down to it, he was kind of one of the pioneers of the country rock scene. So he's the one that kind of bridged the gap between the two, and has kind of, opened the doors up for so many people, particularly, people like me that like to dabble a little bit in both of them. Oh, goodness gracious. And likes to dabble in both of them. So, yeah, so that's kind of what my musical influences were growing up. And, as I got a little bit older, I did start listening to more country and got into alternative music as well. So
Very cool. And I love Southern rock. I've seen Skynyrd in concert. I mean, I always tell everyone I was born in 61, and I say that for a reason, because I'm an oldies Elvis doo-wop girl. And that music was in the 50s, the early 60s. I don't know how it
sure.
happened to me, but that's who I am. But you can't take the rock and roll out of me. You can't take Southern rock out of me. I've been to all the concerts. I mean, incredible. They all matter, man. Everything they've all done, right, has been such an important part of our growing up in the music industry.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And, you talk about, you said you were born in 61. I would say that I would venture to say that probably over the course of your first 20 to 25 years, your formidable years, where you gather a taste in music, music transition, it changed so much from the early 60s to the early 80s. When you take a look at, you were talking about the doo-wop music that, when you were little, you had the doo-wop music, and then you had those, the sound change with all of the classic rock stuff, your singer-songwriters, your folk stuff, like your Simon and Garfunkel's, and then it goes from there to like, Jimi Hendrix type of stuff, Led Zeppelin, and then you get into Southern rock and even into disco,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would venture to say that, your formidable years, your 20 to 25 years, the first 20 to 25 years you were alive, were probably some of the greatest musical years in history.
So, what's amazing? All right, I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to ask you a question first because of what you're saying about like the incredible music and how everything's changed and whatever, and the transitions. But I want to ask you something. What do
Sure.
you think about hip hop and rap?
What I really think, and I will tell you. I mean, I actually listened to some of it, and the reason why that I'm open to it is because to me, I look at music a lot of ways as an interpretation of a person's culture. The things that they know. A lot of people that may live in urban areas where obviously hip hop is more synonymous. They have to have their way to express where they came from. And you can't sit there and play 3-chord country in the middle of Los Angeles, California, and it tell the story of a 16-year-old child that's urban, or as was born in not basically doing living that life. So, as far as that goes, I have a great appreciation for all music. Do I listen to certain musics more than others? Yes, but I do listen to all music.
I cannot believe what you just said. Okay, you are only one of two singers, entertainers that I'm going to tell this story to that before I even told the story kind of said what you said. Only two. And that's amazing. You're right. So I, of course, I'm not a hip hop rap fan, and I don't like all the violence and the cursing, right?
Sure.
So in 2017, I believe it might have been, I get a message on Facebook from a young black hip hop artist from Trenton, New Jersey named Randy Shank. And he messages me and he says, Miss Geri, I'm an up and coming artist. I'd love to be on your show. I live in Trenton. I could come to the studio. I said, young man, can you keep it clean? He said, absolutely. So he brought a few of his friends in. Not only did they keep it clean, the show was amazing. And I said to him on air, why is there so much violence? Why is there so much profanity? Why? And this is what he said, Justin. He said, Miss Geri, everyone has a story to tell, and the story must be told. And unfortunately for some of us, this is the only story we know.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly
what you
what
said.
I was.
Yes.
Yeah. And, really, while you were telling that story, what's interesting is obviously I'm from Tennessee. So, everybody thinks country music and things of that nature, but, the music being a byproduct of the culture and everything like that, one of the things that's definitely known in the hip hop world is Memphis, Tennessee has got one of the most prominent hip hop scenes in all of the country. And, and that's just goes to show that, you can go from Memphis and then drive 3 hours, just drive 3 hours east to Nashville, and a different story is being told.
See, he's
and
now.
then you can even drive further east and you go into Appalachia, where that music is different than country. And it's just that's the thing, is that's why I listen to all of them, because people are telling stories.
Yep. He's now living down south. He has a family. He's an incredible photographer, videographer, and he'll message me, Miss Geri, I'm still trying to keep it clean for you. And he surprised me and visited me. I love him. He owns my heart. So now let's get back to you. So now I'm going to ask you a question you may not be able to answer, but, we'll see. Is there that one song, I don't care who sang it, maybe one you've written or just an artist, that has stayed with you and resonated as one of your most famous songs?
I'll tell you a song that always seems to elicit emotions with me.
Okay.
Regardless of how many times I've heard it.
Okay.
It's actually one of my, when I do cover songs, it's probably one of my most requested songs, because it actually is, when I sing it, the emotions just kind of pour out of me.
Okay.
I don't really sing it it's not a great technical vocal song for me, but you can feel the emotion come from it. And that's Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. That song tells such an amazing story. And, it's really heartfelt to me, because, I have a son and a daughter now, and I can't think of any better advice to give both of those children than the lyrics of Simple Man.
So, you want to give us a little a cappella, just 30 seconds? Come on.
Well, I am actually just getting over something.
We don't care.
So I'm trying. So, let me think of a.
All right. A little bit of that from that song.
Yeah, I see that. Mama told me when I was young, said, sit beside me, my only son. Listen closely to what I say. If you do this, it'll help you some sunny day.
Oh, wow. So thank you. Thank you for that. I love that. I just love
Absolutely.
that. Amazing. So now let's give everybody a little treat. We've got 3 of your songs. Let's play one of them, and then we'll talk about it, okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Here we go.
Out is howling in the middle of nowhere. Life dealt a dirty hand and it just ain't fair. I take out a shovel and I pass it over to you. I light me a cigarette and take a swig or two. What made you think you can give your love away? I guess you should have warned him, that's a price to pay. I had to make you an accessory to it all. If anyone finds out, we'll both take the fall. The scarlet letter under a dawn sky. So your transgression is mighty high. Fatal attraction now put on this shelf. Now you dig another hole for yourself. It's almost more than I'm willing to take. When I think about the kind of love we made, then the thought crosses, you gave it to another man. That's a little bit more than I can stand. Just a few more hours till the morning light. Gonna take this wrong and try to make it right. A scarlet letter under a dawn sky. The price of your transgression is a mighty high. A fatal attraction now put on this shelf. Now you dig another hole for yourself. Story tomorrow of a missing man. Why you ran on with that woman, try to understand. You're probably wondering why you're digging deeper than they do. Cause the last hole you ever dig was maybe two. A scarlet ladder under the dawn sky. The price of your transgression is a mighty high. You can play this on for all eternity. So goes the story of you and me.
Tell us about this beautiful song.
So that song, I write songs for different reasons, and this is this is a plot-driven song that, honestly, it was a concept of mine that I was thinking could make a short film
Okay.
type of situation, but actually condensed it down to a 4.5 minute song, and obviously it's one of those things that it's not. It's a story about somebody that paid the ultimate price for their transgressions as it pertained to love. And, it really wasn't spurred on by anything, Jerry. Sometimes I just write songs because, the plot comes into my mind.
Okay.
And, but the actual melody was something that really jumped in my mind as well. When I thought about it, I thought about making it kind of a swampy, dark, ominous type of thing, which is outside the realm, kind of outside of what I normally do. I'm kind of that fun-loving party guy, life of the party type of thing. And, what I did is I kind of, when I released this song, I was thinking, well, it's going to give people kind of another, avenue as to what my talents are as a songwriter and a performer as well.
So, about how many songs have you written?
Oh goodness, that's a great question. I probably have written completed songs probably somewhere north of 30, but I've got a lot of other songs that it wouldn't take long to finish them up.
Okay.
What I do is I kind of, I say I probably have 30 songs right now that I could say, okay, let's take this to the studio and go. I probably have got probably 20 or 30 more concepts or things that I've started to work on that, you give me a little while, I could probably get it knocked out. Um, but as far as, there's no rhyme or reason to my writing. I write when I feel like writing.
Okay.
I don't feel like putting pressure on myself to like say, I'm going to sit down from 2 to 5 o'clock today and I'm going to write a song. I can't operate like that.
Okay.
you know, um, but I guess that's one of those things too, where Paul Ann and my distributor Chuck Freeman over at Tough Duck Music. That's one of the things that they told me that yeah, I did get in it late to the game, but I've also got a stockpile of songs that have never been released. So it's not like I'm sitting here tapping my foot saying I've got
Right.
to write a song, I've got to write a song, I've got to write a song.
Right.
Which so many young artists do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they feel the pressure to do
Yeah.
that, and I've got several different avenues to go.
So I have a question. All right. What normally would come first, the words or the lyrics?
Actually,
or
it's one of
or
those.
the melodies.
Okay, to me, I don't have a rhyme or reason.
Okay.
I may be sitting there playing a guitar, and I have an incredible melody.
A guitar, I love it.
That-
Go
that-
ahead.
Yeah, guitar. But I might be playing, and I have a melody, and then what I'll do is I'll say, okay, what kind of emotion does this melody elicit to me?
Hey.
That's kind of the direction I
Okay.
want to go. And then sometimes, like a song like A Fatal Attraction, the concept, the plot jumps in my mind first, and then I write the lyrics to it. And then, when I'm writing the lyrics, I look at the lyrics and I say, well, what does this sound like to me from a musical standpoint? So it goes both ways. I don't do it one way or the other. It's just, how it comes to me.
Okay. Fair enough. Because, I'm a poet, and I'll be reading a poem
Sure.
during our show. But so, I'll usually say, okay, I want to write a poem about this topic, and I have the topic, and I write the poem. So it's interesting when I talk to songwriters, sometimes they'll say what you just said. Sometimes they'll say, oh, usually the music first. And I'm cracking up. I'm like, the music? Like, how do you do that? That's amazing. You know what I mean? You got this music, and now you got to get words. It's just great. And I love listening to what everybody does differently. I think that's just so cool. When did you write your first song?
Oh, probably some 22 years ago.
Okay, cool.
About 22 years ago, I would say would probably be the first time that the first time I wrote a song.
Okay.
And as you can tell, and obviously I haven't been a professional musician, a semi-professional musician for very long. So, if you do the math, if I tell you, I've got 30 songs in the can that, I feel like I could go to the studio with over the course of 20 years, that's not a whole lot over the course of 20 years. There's other concepts and things like that. But, the fact of the matter is this, I've done a lot more writing, obviously, since I've been playing a lot more, the shows have been getting I guess maybe since the brand or the notoriety maybe has gotten a little bit bigger, people start expecting it.
Okay.
So I'm like I said, I'm not putting pressure on myself to write a lot of songs, but the thing is that, okay, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to, take a shot at this, I need to be more, I don't, maybe get behind that notebook a little more.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay. So now, did you ever take voice lessons or any instruments?
Actually, I've never taken voice lessons in my life.
Okay.
Everything, my voice is natural. And I think that that's also one of those things too, that is, I guess is unique to me, because I think sometimes if you train a voice too much, it can become generic, or it can become just over. You have overproduction in the studio.
You're right.
I think you can overproduce your voice as
You're
well.
right.
I mean, in some situations, my music is raw. It's more edgy. It's not necessarily, I don't have to sound like Frank Sinatra. I mean, I'm, the part of the grit and the dirt in my voice tells part of the story.
Right.
Now, as far as guitar and instruments go, I'm self-taught. I taught myself. The way that I learned how to play guitar is I went and I bought a poster from I bought a poster from Walmart for $2.50 many years ago, and I stuck it on my wall. And I got a cheap acoustic guitar, and I learned all the major chords. Then I learned all the minor chords, and then just kind of went from there. So I'm self-taught on the guitar. My vocals are pretty much self-taught too. Now, don't get me wrong. When I go into the studio, there's obviously, people that can coach you vocally to help you and everything like that,
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, why don't you try this?"
Sure.
and things of that nature. So, but I've never taken a lesson in my
Right.
life.
You know what's amazing? I am not musically inclined at all. I just know what's great and what stinks, okay? And I cannot even imagine being able to play an instrument, you know, the chords, the this, the that. I'm like, how do you guys even know it? And you're self-taught, and I'm like, I don't get it. I will never get it. Okay, I am terrible with math. All right, I don't get it.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
Well, I would say to you this: that there are limitations upon what I can do. Don't get me wrong, because I've never taken music theory classes or things of that
I know,
nature.
but
I mean,
you
everything
still are
I've done,
self-taught. You're still self-taught.
yeah,
Come on.
exactly. And and then that's the other thing too is when I get into the studio, I've got a lot of people that I can lean on. Like we talked about, Chuck Freeman at Tough Duck. He's helped produce some. He's helped. He co-produced some of the songs that I've got that I haven't released yet that we just did in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Wes Henley, who does a lot of my editing and everything like that over at Dreamscape in Jackson,
Okay.
Tennessee. He's been invaluable in terms of helping me with my vocals in the studio. Now, I think there's a lot more grace. You get a lot more grace when you're performing live
Yeah.
than you do in the studio, because when you're sitting there and you're singing in that microphone directly there, and it's just you, it doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. So, but to say that I haven't had help with my vocals, I have, but most of the time it's been within the
Okay.
studio.
So let's give everybody another treat, and let's play a second song, and we'll have you talk about it.
Okay, sure.
Here we go.
I'm at the bottom of the cooler, and I throw the last one back. I head down to the Quagmire to get me another rag. The woman at the church house, she asked me why I drank. I said I like the way it makes me feel, and it costs less than a string. Oh, I'm the kind of guy gonna be his own man. They ask me why I live this way. I tell them 'cause I can. 100 times I bet on love, and 100 times I lost. My friends, they all ask me, is it hurting worth the cost? Something about the feeling of a woman's warm embrace, and the thing about good loving, it can't be replaced. Oh, I don't give a damn, so you know where I stand. They ask me why I love this way. I tell them 'cause I can. These size 13s are all mine. I walk in them as I please. I know my friends and family down on bended knees. I just let them say their piece, and then I let them pass. But if they try to change my way, I tell them kiss my ass. Oh, on these two legs I'm gonna sing. They ask me why I live this way. I tell them 'cause I can. they ask me why I live this way, I tell them 'cause I can. Tell them 'cause I can. Oh, I tell them 'cause I can. Tell them 'cause I can.
All right, so I love the song. Tell us about it.
So that's the one that started everything for me, Jerry. The I'm very, very proud of that one because that's my very first offering out in music. It was one that I did. It was my budget was much, much lower than the other two songs you're going to hear today. I actually took it from beginning to end for production, or actually on the production side. We actually recorded that at Paducah, Kentucky, and then we took it over to Dreamscape with Wes Henley, like we were talking about, and he put the editing touches on it and everything like that. And we released that song, and it was out for about a month, and then it debuted at #1 on Cruising Country Radio, and we were just really, really blessed. And I stayed there for I think 3 months.
Wow.
Maybe 2 months, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was really the one that kind of put me on the map, and helped to legitimize me as just not just a songwriter that writes songs in his room and goes and plays little beer joints and stuff like that. Which there's nothing wrong with that because I still do that today. But what it did is it kind of opened up my music to the world as opposed to just
Right.
on a local level.
Right. Amazing. Okay, so I love the song, and I love like your attitude in it. You know what I mean? Like you have attitude with that song, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
So my producer walked in, Ruben, and he's shaking his hips while your song was playing. Okay. All right. So
That's awesome. Now that song was a song that was elicited by an emotion of mine. I just, I guess the best I can remember, it was a situation where at that particular day, I had a couple of people that just, why are you doing this? Whatever, or just questioning me and everything, questioned me. I was like, what am I? And the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm like, first of all, you don't have the right to tell me that. I do
Right.
it because I can't. And that's kind of where the spirit of that whole song came from. And like we said before, sometimes they're plot driven, sometimes it's elicited by emotions. That was elicited by an emotion.
I could tell you have an attitude, and I love it. Oh my
Well,
gosh, that's great.
you could tell it at the point I wrote that song. I had a little bit of edge to me. So
I love it. So, oh my gosh, I love that. All right, so now before we forget, tell everyone how they can reach out to you. Give them all your social media.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at Justin Wright Music on Facebook, and then on Instagram it's Justin Wright Music Official. And then I do have a website that we're launching right now. It's justinwrightmusic.com. For any kind of booking, if looking to do any kind of booking or pick me up for any shows or anything like that, you can contact Ablaze Entertainment, or you can contact me at any of those social medias. I'm very excited also, too. Big thanks to Paul Ann one more time. East Coast Artist Agency has recently picked me up to do the booking for my shows going forward. So in the coming weeks, they will actually be the ones that will be going through with that. But in the interim, what we'll do is we'll go through our socials or Paul Ann, either one. If there's anybody out there that's looking to try to book, and everything like that, we're really excited about what we're going to be able to do with East Coast Artist Agency, and of course it goes without saying with the Blaze Entertainment and Tough Duck as well. So
You're going to be coming out to the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, PA, anytime
I tell you
soon.
what, all I've got to do is get a couple invites. I'd love to be able to put a cluster of shows and go up there because I always relish the opportunity to get to a new area to play my music. Like this weekend we're going to Western Missouri, which is right there, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma is all there together.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get to play to a completely new crowd, and it's part of a 3-show deal that's going to get us into Texas and Oklahoma and a couple of other places with a production company, that it's going to be a really cool thing, for new ears to hear these songs and kind of get a critique from them.
Very cool. I can't wait. So before we play your third song, I'm going to read a poem out of my book.
Sure.
And you said something earlier that I always read this poem when I do entertainers because a lot of people sometimes question their self-worth and think, like, I'll be getting messages, oh my gosh, he sings so great, he's such a great songwriter, I wish I could do something like that. Justin, a lot of people have never really figured out they also have gifts. God gives everyone a gift, but you said it earlier as well. We've got to utilize it. We've got to find our gift. We've got to use it. Okay, and this poem is called "Utilizing Gifts and Talents." So I'd like everyone out there who needs to hear these words. You do have something to offer, so listen carefully. We are born with talents. We are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry, and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us, not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life, what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. So don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened, and then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name, Justin Wright, baby, will live forever, forever and a day. So go through life excited for what you sure can give. To yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. So make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And that's what you're doing, Justin. You're making so many people smile. I mean, think about, like you said, you started a little later in life, right? Age is just a number. I didn't write my book until I was in my 50s. I didn't start radio till 2016 in my 50s. Nothing's impossible, right?
Absolutely. And I was listening to every word of that poem, and I had something that really jumped in my mind. Never really heard it anywhere, but just kind of ultimately, what culminated it for me is I said, regardless of who your biggest critic is out there, if you're afraid to get your stuff out there and you're scared of your biggest critic, just know that your biggest fan, God, is bigger than they are.
There you are.
I was sitting there processing everything you were saying, and that's something that really just kind of spoke to me.
I tell everybody, I say this to a lot of people. What do you think when you hear your music? And they're like, oh, I think it could. I said, no. If I ask you about someone else, you'll say, oh my God, they're great. Why can't you say that about yourself? And I'm not talking about, in this you know what I mean. Like God gave you this gift to use. So you're honoring him. You know what I mean? Beautiful.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing is that, if he gives you those gifts and you're not outwardly expressing those or showing those, what you're doing is you're showing how much of the ultimate artist that God is. He painted a world.
There you go.
Literally in his vision. So if you're hiding some of that, people are not getting to see all of the vision.
You know what's so funny? I'm going to share this with you. You might giggle. So, all right. I was in trouble. I grew up in Long Island City, New York. My dad moved us to New Jersey when I was 12 and my brother was 13 to be next to his brother. Anyway, I was in trouble every day of my life in school for talking. And I went to Catholic school in New York. And on the report cards, she won't shut up. She won't stop talking. They used to take the chairs. Back then we had the desk and the chair that was attached. I don't know what it's like now, but
Right.
we had the desk and the chair that was
Right.
attached. Okay.
Right.
And when I was in New Jersey at 12 and 13 and 14, they would have a desk chair outside of each classroom for the bad kid. All right? So I wasn't a bad kid. They all loved me. I was never bad, but I couldn't shut up. So they would have to put me out there. Then I'd be screaming hello to everybody going to the bathrooms. They'd like, Jared, get back in here. Okay? So when Doc G saw my book in 2016, he said, we want to interview you for your book. And I came and got interviewed. And he said, you should come on. You have a great voice. And I'm like, nah. So for a while, I wasn't saying yes. Then we met and everything. And then I started laughing, Justin. I said, what is wrong with me? I was in trouble every day of my life. I can't shut up. Okay? I need to talk.
Right.
So that's
it's
my
called the gift of gab. It's a real thing.
Okay? You know it is. And imagine if we didn't have sanitation workers. To me, they're right up there. I love cleanliness. I would go crazy. So I honor them. I mean, everyone has something to offer.
Exactly. You know, I was raised to treat the person that has the what is generally viewed as the lowest job with the same respect as I treat the CEO of a company.
Right.
You know, I mean, if there's a guy sweeping the floor in this Fortune 500 company and you have a CEO, you treat them all with the same respect.
That's right. That's right. So now we're going to play your final song. Then we're going to have you talk about it. Okay, producer, here we go.
I don't drink as much as I used to. Every night I pray. I thank the good Lord He had the grace to give me another day. I'm through with fighting, 'cause now I don't see the point. It's been 5 years or maybe more since I picked up a joint. Don't cuss anymore. I don't use His name in vain. If a woman asks me for a one-night stand, I'm likely to refrain. I'm not on the straight and narrow. I'm as close as I'll ever be. But it wasn't the words of a preacher man that finally got through to me. The old man told me it's just as easy to be good. It's a lot less burden on your mind. So just do what you should. You'll lay a little slower, as far as I can tell. You'll wanna go to heaven, 'cause there's no cold beer in hell. I tried and failed a couple times and finally got it right. When I asked how I'd spend eternity without a cold bush light, I couldn't wrap my head around the fact with the last breath that I take, I can't wrap my fingers around a cold one on a fiery lake. To the average man, it might sound a little trivial, I know, and there's a whole lot of other reasons for me to not want to go. All the ones I care about would join me up there. I'll have my feet on the cooler, strumming a six-string in my chair. So I listened to the old man, and I took his words to heart. I vowed right then and there I'd make a brand new start. I repent for all the bad I've done, throw some pennies in a wishing well, and live the life I ought to live, 'cause there's no cold beer in hell. The old man told me it's just as easy to be good. It's a lot less burden on your mind and soul, just do what you should. You'll lay a I just watch from up in heaven with a cold beer in my hand.
I love that one. Talk about it.
Yeah, so that song actually came about as kind of I was talking to a friend of mine one day, and we were just having some beers and stuff like that, and I told him, I said, I guess I better start acting a little bit better, because I said I don't imagine I could get a cold beer in hell. And I said, and he laughed and cackled, and I looked at him, I said, that sounds like something I need to write. And I wrote the song, I wrote the concept down, and it was so like I was sitting there, and like these ideas kept jumping in my mind, and I was sitting there making notes, and this is one of those songs that really just kind of flew off the page. I didn't have, some songs take you days to put lyrics together, and some songs just fly off the page. And I pretty much wrote that song in about 25 minutes. I mean, it was just one of those things that kind of rolled. And then, that's my latest release. We recorded that at B&G in Nashville, and very, very, very proud of that one. That one actually debuted at number 2 on Cruising Country Radio as well.
Yes.
So we're excited. We're excited about that, and it's kind of more of a modern country radio take of some of the other songs you've heard. The other songs may not be really a mainstream type of thing, but this is the type of song that's kind of got that mainstream feel,
Yeah.
and it's kind of has a little bit more mass appeal.
Yeah.
But you can get that song and all the other songs you've heard today on all of your streaming platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, YouTube Music. All of my music is available under Justin Wright. So
Very cool. So now we have a few minutes left. I'm going to give you back the mic. I don't want you to say, oh, I forgot to say this, or I should have talked about this. The platform is yours, Justin. What else would you like to talk about?
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that always weighs heavy on me, when I get done, or I'm done traveling, or I get a little bit of a break. One of the things is I look back and I think about all the people that have really helped to get me to where I am, and all those that have supported me. My family, it goes without saying, a lot of times they can't go to the shows, they can't be at the shows, but, have a great support system that helps take care of me. I recently, last week I got married, and
Yay!
so I talked to you about Stacy the last time I was on the show. We recently got married, and she's been one of the largest catalysts of everything in terms of my career. She's one of those, a partner can make or break you in the entertainment industry. And I think that because you've dealt with so many. And she's a real credit. I don't think I would be where I am today without her. Some other people I want to thank. Once again, we want to thank Paul Ann.
Yes.
I goes without saying. She's been an integral part of help building the brand, who is Justin Wright, getting Justin Wright out there to them, and
Yeah.
she does a phenomenal job. And I'm so blessed to be working with her and continue to work with her. Tough Duck Music, Chuck Freeman, we talked about, that handles my distribution and everything like that. He's done an amazing job of getting this song out to some of these radio stations, getting this song out. Just kind of, he's one of those guys. He's done a lot of things. Most anything you can do in music. Working at Sun Records, playing with all kinds of people and stuff like that. So I want to give him a major shout out. And then once again, Wes Tinley over at Dreamscape with handling a lot of my editing and my mixing and everything of my stuff, particularly the stuff that's coming out of Muscle Shoals with Jimmy Nutt and the Nut House over in Muscle Shoals. And then, I will say this much, that there's a group of people that I probably owe this more to than anybody. When you interviewed me last time, I was playing with my band, the Dirty Strings. Well, recently, I'm operating as a solo act, and they're operating as a band.
Okay.
And I'm going, every now and then I'll jump back home and everything and do shows with them.
Okay.
So I want to give a shout out to my old band, the Dirty Strings, because they are the ones that literally told me that I can do this.
Wow.
They're the ones that reinforced me. Greg Fry, Tina Williams, Aaron Pilkington and David Faulkner, and just they are. I get semi-emotional about it because I don't get to, I don't get to share the stage with them anymore. Well, I say I don't get to share the stage with them as often, I should say.
Right.
I used, but they are truly, truly the ones. They were the machine behind pushing me and telling me you can do this, and I appreciate their love, and I appreciate their brutal honesty, and I appreciate all of their support. So
That's beautiful.
I'm nothing without all of those people I mentioned. Nothing without God either.
That's right.
You got to give credit where credit's due.
First of all, I love everything you just said. Give your honey a congratulations hug from me. I'm so happy you're married. Yes. And I love that you mentioned your band and, of course, God and Paul Ann, and everybody. So that's important. And, Justin, what you're doing in the music industry is amazing. And my door is always open. I think you're awesome. So never stop doing what you're doing, and never stop giving others encouragement about doing what they should be doing. Okay? Never stop that, because I love how you put that out. All right? You're amazing.
Yeah, and I always said this before. I remember I actually made a post about this the other day that, I remember there was a time when I was trying to make it in the music industry, and there were people that helped me, and then there were people that didn't help me. But, those people that didn't help me, if they're asking for help from me now, I'm still going to give that to them, because I want them, because, I'm not built like that.
Right.
I consider that if somebody's coming to me, that means that they think to some degree that I'm a blessing or a resource that can help them. And God put me there for a reason.
That's right.
So.
That's right. There you go. I love it. So, all right. So everybody, please share this show. Okay. This guy's amazing. Thank you again, Paula Ann. You rocked it, Justin. Producers, take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.